Tired of election season? How about a nice romantic drama to focus on something totally different? I'm talking about the upcoming 8-month, 8-part tango between Venus and Mars as they dance back and forth through their retrogrades and tell the classic story of meeting somebody who changes you. Part 1, 8th of October, 2024, Venus trine Mars. The opening scene is perhaps a party, but it's the kind of party you don't necessarily want to be at, but might feel obliged to attend. With Venus in detriment in Scorpio and Mars in its fall in Cancer, neither of them anticipate feeling comfortable at this party, but Venus in Scorpio figures it's finally an opportunity to wear that dress that's been in the back of the closet since before COVID, and Mars in Cancer figures there might at least be some good food. They each arrive with low expectations, but put on a smile and do their rounds. And then, from across the room, there's the first sighting, with immediate intrigue and a bit of mystery. Scorpio and Cancer can create an intense, romantic, yet intuitive type of mystery connection. However, something gets in the way of their interest. Part 2, 8th of December, 2024. Venus opposite Mars retrograde. There's a lot of circumstances other than just Romeo and Juliet that make pursuing a romantic interest unadvisable. Dating a coworker, for example, is complicated enough that many would advise against it. This is when another perspective is needed. After consulting some friends and considering the dynamics, Venus has to make a tough choice. While she's confident in her ability to move beyond the complexities, perhaps she also can't risk the cost. Venus plays it cool and friendly at a distance in Aquarius, but Mars understandably feels a bit rejected. Mars backtracks in Leo to protect his image and his heart, and distracts himself instead with the holiday activities, although hopefully not at the cost of too much emotional eating. Part 3, 26th of January, 2025, Venus trine Mars retrograde. Nothing makes you rethink your relationship goals quite like another holiday season alone. Mars's time back home with family was a reminder of what it is he ultimately wants. Similarly, after the failed attempt at an exciting romance, Venus's New Year's resolutions have circled back to whether it could work with Mars. However, she decides to take on a more go-with-the-flow approach in Pisces and decides to not force anything to happen. So, when Venus and Mars reconnect again post-holidays, enough time has passed to offer a more attuned, supportive presence towards their respective goals, although Venus's compassion and patience begins to soften Mars inside that shell of his. Part 4, 24th of February, 2025, Venus square Mars stationing direct. Valentine's Day. Another one of those commercially driven holidays that somehow seems to remind people of who they have as much as it does of who they don't. After another relationship-oriented holiday alone, Venus and Mars find themselves once again in an uncomfortable emotional place, with both in the signs of their fall. So perhaps there's no way around this situation, but through it. Venus in impulsive Aries has had enough waiting and is ready to take a risk. So, with the clash playing in the back of her mind to give her a shot of courage, she makes an attempt to find out if she should stay or if she should go. And her fiery but somewhat abrupt move is certainly enough to stop watery Mars in his tracks and reconsider, though perhaps not as fast as Venus would have liked. Mars hesitates in indicating if he's available and interested, and Venus, having thought through how to handle a rejection, decides that not lingering is the best option. But Venus's now or never approach is also really about wanting to be wanted. At its core, she's feeling the cost of her insecurity to go after what she wants and wonders if she's been stressing out over showing interest in someone who really isn't that into her. Part 5, 2nd of March, 2025. Venus stationing retrograde square Mars, but only a week later, there's a shift. Just as Venus has shot her shot and walked away, Mars realizes this is it. After really considering how open or not Mars has been about how he feels, Mars decides that if he wants to make a change in his relationships, he's going to have to change how he's been going about it. The problem is that Venus's assumptions about not hesitating and going after what you want have backfired. She figured if he doesn't know what he wants, then she shouldn't wait around for that, right? But her idea of pursuit hasn't left enough space for a kinder and more sensitive approach. And so, Venus shrugs off Mars' awkward, sideways approach at striking up a conversation, and she retreats back. Part 6. 7th of April, 2025. Venus retrograde trine Mars. And this is where it's Venus's turn to rethink her idea of love. While Mars's initial attempt was a no-go, he has since been persistent, picking up confidence and showing his interest. Having returned to Pisces, Venus begins to realize that perhaps she needs to release the idea of love being about grand gestures. Maybe the consistent and thoughtful pursuit is what she really wanted all along, but had rejected out of illusion of what love really is. Part 7. 18th of April, 2025. Venus stations direct trine Mars. Venus' solitude and time to reconsider her own approach has led her through some necessary reflection and release of what hasn't been working for her. In a way, this feels even harder than her prior bold, Aries-driven approach, but she knows showing vulnerability means she's coming from a genuine place, so with a bit of fear, Venus responds to Mars at the next opportunity, and, in a truly romantic but gentle and emotional way, they both finally say, "Yeah, I like you too." Like two high schoolers figuring this out for the first time. And in a way, they are figuring this out for the first time in a new, healthier, and kinder way that they hadn't really experienced before. Part 8. 22nd of May, 2025. Venus trine Mars. But Venus and Mars still get the best of both worlds, because not long after their sensitive connection, Mars re-enters Leo with all his excitement and sweeps Venus off her feet. What's more, his playfulness and grand gestures invites Venus into her adventure-seeking, boundary-pushing side again, just as she re-enters Aries. Finally, after 8 months, the passionate and fiery match they had been hoping for has caught fire in all the best ways. And now, a thought to reflect on. Are all of us going to experience our own Hollywood romance these upcoming 8 months? Perhaps not. But we all have our reservations and established ways of dealing with vulnerability, which oftentimes don't serve us. The great news, though, is that this is an opportunity to revisit our defensive or protective tendencies and perhaps our romanticized ideas of what it means to truly connect with others. If we work with the energy and take the time to reflect and consider what hasn't worked, we actually have an excellent opportunity to turn the tide. Check out both the Pisces and Aries and the Cancer and Leo parts of your chart to think about what areas of life and types of relationships you'll have the opportunity to reimagine.